Hey, Katie.
Hey Rhiannon, how's it going?
Pretty good. I have purple hair now. I couldn't be
I see
blonde
that.
anymore.
So you had what, like a 2 week tolerance for blonde hair or what?
Well, I was doing this whole, as I said, I've fallen into this whole color theory. What's this colors for your complexion? Like, I don't know, whole thing. And um, there was a lot of advice on there that I should have blonde hair, and I'm like, I really feel like this is bad information. And so, like, I was trying it. I didn't like it. I've been blonde before, like fully blonde. Like I paid a lot of money to have a professional lady get me blonde like Beyonce. And it was fine. I liked it, but I just don't think it's the right coloring for me. Like so I like this darker purpley color much better. So
Yeah, I'm a fan.
this'll be it.
I stay in the purple and pink spectrum when I do my hair.
Yeah, we got to
So I
get
like
you
it.
out of the professional insurance world and into the crazy purple hair world.
I agree. I agree
Yeah.
with that wholeheartedly.
We do have some updates. I won't say they're corrections because these are just updates. So last week we were talking about Squirrel Nut Zipper's song Hell, and you're like, oh, I know it was in a movie, but I'm pretty sure it was on a slot machine. And it was on the Hell's Bells slot machine.
Oh yes,
Um,
I did say that. I was like, I think it's Hell's Bells or Inferno or something.
yeah. So the Hell's
Woohoo!
Bells slot machine. And then it
Yeah.
was in two movies, Epic, a 2013 movie, which I forget what it's about, and then Blast from the Past, a 1999 movie, which I'm pretty sure has Brendan Fraser
Brendan
in it.
Fraser,
Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, we actually just watched that like 2 days ago, I think. That is one of our favorites.
Yeah.
We often say, "How about it, Eve? Can he skate around your block?" Anyway,
And then
we're fans.
Record Store Day. This is the 15th year of Record Store Day,
Oh
but the
wow.
first year of Record Store Day was only in 300 stores.
Mm.
By the second year of Record Store Day, it was in over like 1,400 stores. So like it took a little momentum to get going. But one of the first stores to participate in Record Store Day was actually here in San Jose, California, which is our Rasputin Records, which is a chain, but it's a local chain. And it cracks me up because Rasputin is like, like the Russian like Tsar murderer guy, like
Yes.
Rasputin. And
Hmm.
but the picture of him, he looks like the depictions of Jesus. So it always, and he's like got on turntables. So like you'll be driving down the freeway and you'll just see the sign for Rasputin music. And it completely looks like a DJ Jesus on the ones and twos.
Oh my gosh, I would go to the store just for DJ Jesus.
Well, next time you're in California and you're visiting me in person, we will go to Rasputin.
I
Um,
love it. Let's do it.
and it's very conveniently very close to a very good comic book store that
Okay.
I'm familiar with. Our comic book store is called Heroes, like because why not? But that was it. So we did not make any factual errors that I could find last time.
Well, fantastic. That's great news. Oh man.
All right, and then I heard through the grapevine that you have quite a few songs, so we should get into it.
I do, but it's because it's a really fun theme to me. So,
Okay.
I picked the one song and then of course went down a rabbit hole, and I do have to give my husband credit because I am now on this kick where I want to do themes, and I had a couple in my back pocket and he's like, "What about this?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's a great idea." So, I did have a little creative help today. But here is my first song and then we can talk about the theme and all of that good stuff. So, let's do it.
You said you didn't need her. You told her goodbye.
Yes, you know that song.
I lo- I love Milli Vanilli. I was so sad.
I know.
So
I
sad.
love
I
Milli
love Milli
Vanilli
Vanilli.
also. And to be honest, like it makes me so sad the history of this band. But if you were anybody that lived in the 80s at all, you have heard Milli Vanilli. Oh my gosh. So obviously, so that was the song I was thinking of, but Milli Vanilli had at least 4 hits that I'm sure everybody knows. It's Girl, You Know It's True. Let's see, Blame It on the Rain, Baby, Don't Forget My Number. But anyway, this song, I love it. I play this album to this day. Just such a fun little bop. And also anybody who has heard this song just immediately, as soon as you hear the bing, 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 you're just like, yes, yes. All the 80s synthesizers, I know this song. Oh, so for those of you that do not know about Milli Vanilli and their sordid past, um, they are a French German French R&B duo. Their names are Rob and Fab is what their physical names. But what they're most known for, unfortunately, is the reality that they were lip syncing their entire career and they were busted. And that's what my second video is the like incident heard round the world in 1990
Ooh.
of when they were caught lip syncing on stage and they ran off. And so that's my next video that I want to share, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. Hmm.
You know my world, you gotta understand. I'm in love, girl. I'm in love, girl. I'm just in love, girl. And this is true. Girl, you know this, 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 girl, you know.
Oh, so yes, that was actually in July 21st of 1989. It was a live performance on MTV. Hold on one second. So it was actually on MTV Live and Lake Compounce Theme Park in Bristol, Connecticut. And so basically, they lip sync that, but then what really kind of like blew it all up was the singer's name who was actually singing the vocals. There were 3 different vocalists that sang for Milli Vanilli. His name is Charles Shaw. And in the American version of their album, it explicitly attributed the vocals to Robin Fab, and he was like, not happening, because the UK version, it wasn't like that. So, it was just like a whole mess. So then basically the rest of their career was trying to redeem themselves. They tried to get into acting a little bit. And then in 98, actually, 97, 98, they tried to just like record an album that was really themselves. But Rob, one of the duo, got super into like alcohol and drugs and crime. Actually, he was like charged for assault and stuff. And on the eve of their promo tour for their new album, he overdosed in a hotel room. Yeah, so it was ruled an accidental overdose.
Yeah.
But people like speculated if it was suicide or not and all of that. So it was just like, it's like such a tragic story, but such fun 80s songs that were like parts of our childhood. Again, roller skating rink, right? I guess I went
Yeah.
roller skating a lot, but oh my gosh. So how about you? Any fond memories of Milli Vanilli?
I mean, so for me, Milli Vanilli is really like on the blacktop in 5th grade, 6th grade, like choreographing little dances. Because like really the reason they were put on the front of the band is they could dance, and the real singers were schlubs, right? Like that was why
Yeah,
it
they
was
were
in this era
entertainers.
of yeah,
Yes, absolutely entertainers. They were like good looking dudes.
yeah.
They had the front man kind of look.
And honestly, it's like I feel like we talked about like the manufactured girl pop star. they were trying to manufacture a pop star out of these two guys. And I think the real problem was that they could not speak English. Like, as I recall, that was the
That's
actual
correct.
problem why they couldn't just sing on their own album, is because their English was very, very bad. And like because they were talented enough to have actually sung the vocals on their own,
Yeah.
but their English was they were not marketable in English, which was the actual problem. And so
Yep.
like their record producers like, you've got to look, you can dance, you can sort of sing, so we could always just kind of throw your vocals in there as necessary. But let's just record the album with these other people and let's go with that. And I feel like they just flew too close to the sun
Yeah.
on the engineered
Yeah.
pop star thing, because like I thought their music was really cute, and it was obvious they were not writing their songs. Like, just like with most of these little like pop groups, like they're just performers. They just show up and perform what everybody else has put together in front of them. And I
Yeah.
really liked them. I thought their songs were cute. I thought their dances were cute. I thought the two dudes were cute. I thought their clothes were cute. I was super into Milli Vanilli.
I agree. So obviously, so I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole with like bands that lip sync. And it's funny how, the taste change over time and when lip syncing is acceptable and when it's not, and also back then before the internet, it was a lot harder to bust people out. So,
Mhm.
but then I said, and then of course there's like infamous lip syncing with like Ashley Simpson on Saturday Night Live and some Super Bowl stuff, and they're all just like, the context is very, very different. But I just feel so bad for these guys of their lip syncing story didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
But so then that just got me into this theme this week of songs. I mean, the songs are still like important to me in some way, but they also used other artists' music in their songs. And what are some famous cases where people were busted using music or sued over using people's chords or
Ooh.
lyrics or whatever? And so one honorable mention, though, I wanted to put on the pod for you because it was Bon Jovi, but
Mhm.
you already did You Give Love a Bad Name in our very first episode. But that one actually was a good story because the person who helped them write it, their first hit, actually used that song for Bonnie Tyler like 2 or 3 months before. Different lyrics, same
Mhm.
chords, sound, and all of that. But everybody was fine with it. It was like an okay thing. It was the right way to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I want to do a Bon Jovi song for Rhiannon, but she already played it. So there are some cases where artists know about it or the rights were legally used,
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So that's why I have a bunch of songs on my list, because I want you to hear the song that I'm playing and then the song that they ripped off.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so, and this next song was also influential in the 90s big time, and I'm sure you have heard the song. So there will be no surprise here.
When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so fucking special. But I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care for her.
So have you heard this song?
Of course. I mean, I don't want you to be mad, but like I don't get Radiohead. Like
No, I was about to say hot take. Don't really care for Radiohead.
yeah, I
I
don't
don't care for the
don't
lead singer. There's tons
yeah,
of
I don't get it. But like of course Radiohead, they were like one of the first big bands to do the pay what you want, right? Like to make their music free if that's what you want, or pay if that's what you want.
Yep.
And they were on Rock Band. Like this song was on Rock Band, the video game, which is why I know the lyrics of it because it was on. I'm pretty sure I don't think it was Guitar Hero because I remember singing it, so that had to be Rock Band.
Gotcha.
So that's how I know the lyrics is because they were like karaoke. I'm like, I'm so freaking special.
Yeah, exactly. The radio edit is so very special.
Yeah.
For those who haven't heard it though, this is a band called Radiohead. You know, very 90s alternative grunge. There's just like a lot of accounts of the lead singer being a narcissistic ass. And you know, I liked the song, didn't care for the band. And I just thought this is about being a weirdo, but being accepting that you're a weirdo and like loving someone from afar, and you like someone that doesn't notice you, you know, just all of those themes when you're a teenager growing up. And so it's just a really catchy tune also. So so Radiohead actually got sued by the Hollies, Albert Hammond, and because this sounds just like the song The Air That I Breathe from 1972. So I wanted to play like a little clip of that so you could hear it. So that's the next song I'm going to share. Just a little bitty clip. So here we go.
If I could make a wish, I think I ask.
Right?
Can't think of anything I need. No cigarettes, no sleep, no light, no sound, nothing to eat, no books to read. Making love with you has left me peaceful, warm and tired. What more could I ask? There's nothing left to be desired. Peace came.
Anyway, so, but then I had to show one more little clip because, of course, everybody knows that these sound alike. And there's actually somebody on YouTube who did a mashup of the Holly or the Radiohead Creep underneath the words to the Hollies, and they made a video and all that. So I'm just going to keep the share on and just show you this next one. And they call it The Air That I Creep instead of The Air That I Breathe. So I just thought this was really cool.
What are the chances that
It's also a very dramatic video.
If I could make a wish, I think I'd pass. Can't think of anything I need.
So obviously, you know, this is a very widely known, but then my favorite part about picking this song, so the Hollies, so they actually sued and they won and got like co-writer credits and things like that, you know, royalties and such. But then in 2017 or 18, Lana Del Rey had a song called Get Free. And here's what this sounds like.
I'm crossing the threshold
from the ordinary world to the reveal of my heart. Undoubtedly, that will for certain take the dead out of the sea and the darkness from the arts. This is my commitment.
So
Wow.
yeah, so then Radiohead sued Lana Del Rey. But she got a little snarky on Twitter with it, and she said they were taking legal action, for her plagiarizing, and had asked for 100% of publishing royalties when she offered 40. She denied that Creep inspired it. And so it was just all this stuff. But so when she performed at Lollapalooza in 2018, she said something like, well, I guess I can sing it now because the lawsuit's over and I can sing it as much as I want. So yeah, I was fascinated by all of this and how much it sounds, right? Because
Mhm.
the most famous of them all to me when we were growing up was Vanilla Ice and Ice
Of
Ice
course, yeah.
Baby and Under Pressure from Queen / David Bowie. And we always joke because there's this clip on YouTube, but he was like on VH1 or MTV talking
Ding,
about
ding,
it.
ding,
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 ding, ding, ding. But mine goes ding, ding, ding,
ding,
ding,
ding,
ding,
ding,
ding.
ding, ding,
You're like,
ding.
okay, dude, whatever you say. But Queen and David Bowie have co-writer credits for Ice Ice Baby. So you
Mhm.
be the judge. So yeah, are you familiar with the Hollies, The Air That I Breathe, or Lana Del Rey?
I've heard the name Lana Del Rey because she is a current pop star of the now times. So I am aware of the existence of a person with that name. The Hollies, I feel like I have heard of this controversy, but not necessarily them actually as a band.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one and thought it needed to have some airtime. I honestly, Lana Del Rey, I thought she was a lot younger than us, but she was born in
Mhm.
85. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, she's not much younger, but I think just in my life progression and music progression, when she got famous in the like 2010s to
Yeah.
now, I was already out of that phase. Like her sound was not like what I was looking for at all. And I think just me as a person, I'm like, oh, everybody's on the the kind of like I'm going to use the wrong words, but soul singer,
Yeah.
Amy
Kind of Amy
Winehouse was an
Winehouse.
influence. Yes.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I can't have so much of that. It starts to become wallpaper if their voices aren't distinct, if there isn't some reason why it was important to me, you know.
Well,
So I
even
just
her
think,
vocal affect, like the way she so just literally her vocal affect was very like, I'm trying to be a 60s folk lady. Like
you're
I'm like,
right.
oh, this is okay. It's fine. It's fine, especially coming off of last week when I'm like, oh my gosh, 40s swing music, that was my vibe, blah blah blah. Throwback to the 40s, it's all dance hall. And then I'm like, ugh, throwback to the 60s. Think of something new, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just for some reason, it just didn't resonate with me, and so I just never got into her. Um, so yeah, that was that. And then to end it on kind of a more upbeat song, here's one that is from the early 2000s that I don't know if you'll know. It was pretty popular, but I'm not sure if it was in
Okay.
Rhiannon's wheelhouse. So
Okay.
we'll have to see how it goes.
Love
Have you heard the song?
Yeah, I was actually thinking maybe this song was in Rock Band too, but definitely this song is in my vibe because like last week I had Stray Cat. Like this to me feels like the child of Brian Setzer and the Stray Cat. Like the same kind of sort of grungy, retro to that like Buddy Holly early 50s kind of like rock, upright rock. And even like the set they had there, I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
even if I had never heard of this, I'd be like, I should look these guys up. But I
Right.
know at least this song. I don't know
Well,
if I know
that's
anything
great.
else by them.
Yeah, so this band is called The Strokes. So they're an American band and they were formed in New York City in 1998. And the fun fact about this that I didn't piece together while I was putting these songs together is that one of the guitarists in the band's name is Albert Hammond Jr., who is the son of the guy in the Hollies that sued Radiohead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty neat. But
Yeah.
so their sound has been described as like indie rock, garage rock revival, post-punk revival. They cite like Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground as major influences on them. But I think what I didn't understand was how popular they were, because to me, so they came out, or this song came out in like 2001. I was like 20. I probably say it a lot on the podcast, but I'm not sure. But we have one alternative station here that I love, and it's used to be called CD 101. So we would just be like, oh, it's a CD 101 band. You know, it's all that alternative garage, just a little different kind of music that's not necessarily mainstream, played on the pop and
Mhm.
rock channels. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, they're a CD 101 band. I know I've seen them in concert. They're really fun. But every time I heard this song, I was like, man, this song sounds familiar. Like, this sounds like a song that I know. So here's this song that it sounds like. And I'm sure you know this song.
Okay.
Let me pop it on up.
Well, she was an American girl, raised on promises. She couldn't help thinking that there was a little more life somewhere else. After all, it was a great big world.
Okay, I don't need to play a bunch of that. We know Tom Petty. We know American Girl. But what I liked about this story is it wasn't all fraught with lawsuits and things. There was an interview that the Strokes did in Rolling Stone in 2006, and Petty did the interview in 2006, and he said the Strokes took American Girl. There was an interview that took place where they actually admitted it. It made me laugh out loud. I was like, okay, good for you. It doesn't bother me. And then actually the Strokes were invited to be the opening act for several dates with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on their 2006 tour. And so I think even when I was looking into it, the Strokes were just like, I didn't even know if our first album was going to come out, because we ripped off riffs from The Cure. We did this song, you know, and so
Mhm.
they were just openly, like, unabashedly, yeah, we stole these chords and these riffs. And I'm
Well,
sure
like,
Tom Petty had I don't give a shit money. Like,
yeah.
sure, sounds great. Have fun with it, kids.
But also like Tom Petty, like again, you should watch the documentary
Yes,
about the
the
Defiant Ones.
beats. Yeah.
Because Tom Petty is definitely a very collaborative musician of like he participates in a zeitgeist. So there is a sound
Well,
that's happening and he
sure.
doesn't like claim to it, right? So I
Well,
think
and
that's
he
kind of
came
like
from that
different.
time. He came from
Yeah.
that time too, where it was like an honor to cover someone's songs. And it wasn't about like the whole beginning of music, right? Was just different artists playing this amount of songs, you know, and it
Yeah.
wasn't so many people did various versions of a song. And it wasn't about my song, my rights, and my this. So I think that was part of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was one of the things I'm like, you know, in this instance, like you can definitely hear the snare drum. Like that's like the most obvious, like, oh, okay, I can hear what you're doing here. But then like before this, like standards, like going back to like everybody played the same songs. There's a reason they're called standards, because when you took piano lessons, literally everyone learned all identical songs. Everyone learned the same songs on guitar. Everyone just learned the same songs. And so like your building blocks of making music, when you start to make your own music, everyone's building with the same set of Legos. So like the first Lego house you build, everyone's house kind of looks the same because you started with the same blocks. So
Right.
sometimes I feel like it's a little like kind of like picking like at minor details, like,
Yeah.
oh, you use your snare on the upbeat 1 millisecond before the downbeat, that's mine. You stole that from me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like kind of everybody does that.
Exactly. And so some honorable mentions, because I definitely want just everybody stole from Chuck Berry, the Beatles,
Yeah.
the Beach Boys, everybody. But one I didn't know was Madonna's Justify My Love was actually stolen from Public Enemy, Security of the First World, and Flava Flav and company made an undisclosed ridiculous amount of money from that lawsuit. So I thought that was really funny. But there you have
Oh,
it. There you have it. That was my theme for the week. The wild ride of similar
wish I had
sounding
I
stolen
wish I had
music.
known of this theme, because then I could have carried it into my theme. My theme is very different. Um, I guess I should introduce it because I'm like, should I put the music first or introduce it? Okay, so I'm gonna play movie scores, like very like big clips from a movie score, or I guess small clips from a movie score, but they're just like define the sound of our childhood era.
I like it.
And the three artists that I feature are like super prolific in our childhood. So I'll just get started here first with the first clip. I should mention to everyone that my eyeballs are defective today and I cannot see anything. That is too bright. Okay. All right, I'll stop it there. So, this song is called Axel F. It's the Axel Foley on screen song for the movie Beverly Hills Cop. The score is written by this guy named Harold Faltermeyer. I was asking my husband, like, oh, do you know this guy, Harold Faltermeyer? He's like, oh my gosh, you mean the guy who wrote every cool song from the 80s? And I'm like, okay, you can calm down. You can calm down. But yeah, he basically this synth kind of like keyboard synth poppy soundtrack song of the 80s. It was either actually Harold Faltermeyer or a straight ripoff of Harold Faltermeyer. So some of the songs, some of the movies that he did, Beverly Hills Cop, the whole series, Fletch. My husband went crazy when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna
Love
put Harold
Fletch.
Faltermeyer
Oh
on
my
the
gosh.
yeah, Fletch, Top Gun. Obviously, he's getting some crazy money right now because he got to do the reprise of the Top Gun, and that's making bazillion dollars. But it was such the sound of the 80s, and especially this kind of 80s cop kind of movie, that in 2010 Kevin Smith got he got to make this movie called Cop Out with Bruce Willis. Turned out to be a whole fiasco, that he did not enjoy the process, but he got Harold Faltermeyer to do the score for his movie. And because Kevin Smith, of course, is older than us, he's I think born in 1970, so he's a full Gen Xer, but he is one of those like full like completely engrossed in like this popular culture, comics, movies, music, and so like he is like just an homage creator. So he like created homage to the buddy cop movie and Cop Out, and he wanted that Harold Faltermeyer to play the music. So I don't know, what's your favorite? I kind of like the Top Gun theme better, but I couldn't find a clean clip of it.
No, Axel F is by far my favorite. Like anytime I get near a keyboard, I'm playing and the freaking Family Guy episode where he goes back in time. Anytime I hear this song now, all I hear is Peter Griffin going I mean, it is just ingrained in your brain. Anytime I see a keyboard, that's like the first song that I play is Axel F.
And it's so funny too because the song, like they when he conceived of this song, per the googling that I did, I'm like, oh, Katie googles a lot of songs. Maybe I should do that too. Per the googling I did on this song, the first scene that he scored this for was the banana in the tailpipe scene. Because like you can kind of see him like eat, like the creeping eat. So like you can kind of, now that you know, like, oh, this is the banana in the tailpipe is like the inspiration for this song. Like that's where like that beat bop bing bop bop bop. It's like a little creeping. All right, so going with this theme, obviously the sound of the 80s is Harold Faltermeyer. I actually kind of like, oh, if I had known this, I would have done Ghostbusters. The next one,
Speaking of Ghostbusters, though, Ray Parker Lewis, is it Ray Parker Jr.?
Ray Parker
Sorry,
Jr., yeah.
sorry, Ray Parker Jr. The Ghostbusters theme was a ripoff of some music from Huey Lewis in the News, and I can't remember which song, but that was also like an option of what I was going to pick.
Yeah,
Just throwing that out there. If anybody wants to Google that, the Ghostbusters song and Huey Lewis.
I think it's I Want a New Drug. I think that's the Huey
yes,
Lewis
I Want a
song
New Drug. That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's now that we've done this for like 3 months, my brain is working again.
That's what we needed. We needed to restart.
I just needed to like get back into this memory access. Okay. My next artist is definitely the sound of the late 80s and early 90s, especially if you are a female child of that era. So let me just get this guy on screen.
I am a female child of that era, so I'm very excited.
We're gonna sing.
That's it. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? I got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I got who's and what's galore. You want to think I'm above like a 20, but who cares? No big deal. I want more.
How do you listen to me? The human world, it's a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they got up there. See?
Oh, it goes on for a while, but I'll stop it there.
So did he do all of the songs for Little Mermaid?
Yeah, so Alan Menken is the composer of the Disney female childhood. If you are a girl, millennial, and you watch Disney, you have this secret crush on Alan Menken. Maybe not even a secret crush. You might already know that you love Alan Menken. So Alan Menken, he did the score for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules. Those are just his Disney princess movies.
Oh my gosh.
He also was the songwriter on The Little Shop of Horrors, which I love that movie. I love that movie.
Oh my god.
All the songs.
I love
that movie. I chose this clip. So Alan Menken, obviously super prolific, tons of songs, won Oscars, like very decorated person. But I chose this clip because of like the whole theme of this is that like people our age reminiscing and being nostalgic for their childhood. And of course, Lin-Manuel Miranda is one of us. He's an elder millennial. He was born in 1980, January of 1980. So definitely, he's like right there in between of the two of us. And like just to see him like, oh, I'm going to sit down at my piano with Alan Menken, my hero. Like you can even hear some of the influence of Alan Menken on Lin-Manuel Miranda now, because Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to be the Alan Menken of my daughter. Like when my daughter's 40, she's going to be like, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda was the sound of my adolescence, because he did Moana, he did
Encanto.
The Madrigal Family, Encanto. Yeah, he did this other movie about a little girl from Cuba. Like he had, and then my daughter loves Hamilton. She loves In the Heights. So like he is definitely like got a very distinct sound. Also, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's going to continue being super prolific into the future, and he's going to be the Alan Menken of 2043. It's going to be like people on a podcast showing clips of Lin-Manuel Miranda. But yeah, like Alan Menken is, and he's like not a performer himself, but he like when you see clips of people who know who he is, they go crazy for him because he's like such a nice person, and the orchestras love playing his stuff. The Broadway performers love to perform for his stuff, and his music is fun, which I think is why he got to be part of the Disney family for so long, because his music is just like really fun.
Oh,
And then other millennials who love Alan Menken, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg put Alan Menken on the score for their movie Sausage Party in 2016 because all us millennials, all us elder millennials, super young Gen Xers, we just are freaking so nostalgic for our childhood, and we just like bring all our heroes in. So do you have a favorite Alan Menken Disney movie?
well, it's a
Or
toss up between Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid for sure. But I
yeah,
think it's probably Beauty and the Beast.
well,
Just
he did
because
win
of
some
Belle and
Oscars.
the library thing. She was just the nerdy bookworm. I think it's more
Yeah.
about all about it.
Yeah, and I thought that for Alan Menken's songwriting, I think Beauty and the Beast really does have more of the story is told more through the songs in that score versus some of the other ones are just like, well, it's a Disney musical, so we need to have some music. He got more of the storytelling through song. He got that
Makes
more of
sense.
that musical theater type of song action on that movie. Okay, last artist should not be restricted to any decade because is one of the most prolific score writers of all time. And from before our birth to now, he continues to participate in score writing. I had a very hard time choosing a song that showcased him, but I just went with one from the 90s that I got to play when I was in band. So that's why I chose this one. But let's see if you recognize the artist.
I have a feeling I know who it might be.
Yeah, the most prolific score writer of all time.
Yeah.
Music's still going. There we go. I'm like, I pressed pause, but not everything paused.
Oh,
Okay. So do you recognize this artist?
I do. I absolutely love John Williams. It's hard to find someone who doesn't
Yeah.
because he's done so many things that are just amazing.
Yeah, so
It's funny though, the music that you picked though, also probably gonna get played. Like Hook's not really my favorite movie. Peter Pan in general is not my favorite story. I was just talking about that yesterday because there's a new Disney series coming out, like Wendy and
mhm,
Peter or something, and I'm like, you know. But the music's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was
yeah.
really funny because that's like out of all the John Williams scores, that is the least favorite, least known to me.
Yeah. Well, like for me, I was like, okay, if I'm trying to stay in the 90s, my band had a John Williams medley and it had Hook and Jurassic Park and like Superman and Star Wars. And I'm like, Jurassic Park, I couldn't find a clean clip of the Jurassic Park theme song. And I feel like the hook that Flight to Neverland really like John Williams has a couple of tells, and that French horn, that French
That is
horn,
exactly what I was gonna say. I love him for his French horn participation. The
yeah.
French horn
Uh,
sound.
I've been trying to get my daughter to like participate in my song selection, and so I was like, hey, let's listen to John Williams. Like John Williams is the best. You should listen to the John Williams. And I'm like, you're going to be able to recognize John Williams because as soon as you hear this kind of like processional on a French horn, 99% chance that it's going to be John Williams. And so but let me just like talk about some of the movies that he scored. So he's been actually working in Hollywood since the 50s. But
Wow.
he didn't really make it into doing his, like he was performing in music and like doing stuff, but he didn't make it to being a composer for scores until the 70s. 1972 Poseidon Adventure, 1975 Jaws, 1977 kicked off our Star Wars. So he did all three Star Wars. 1978 he did Superman. 1981 Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did all the Indiana Jones movies. 1982 E.T. Just like he was so busy through the 80s just doing all the rest of those movies. 1990 Home Alone, which is one of those like, it's so ingrained in our childhood. It's so ingrained in our childhood that the people who run the after school program at my daughter's school play Home Alone on the screen there in the off season. Like I went there last week, they were playing Home Alone on the after school program screen. I'm like, guys, it's March. Like what's happening here? But yeah, so Hook is 1991. And I think that one of the things about Hook that even though, yeah, Peter Pan is not my favorite either, but Hook has Robin Williams. And it is one of those first movies that I saw where it was like a reimagining, retelling after the Happily Ever After type of movie.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it kind of kicked off that, in my life, it kind of kicked off that genre of a movie, like what happens after the Happily Ever After, because obviously Robin Williams is Peter Pan and he's all grown up and he's like an adult. And I think he's a banker or some other like real boring adult job. And, you know, Neverland is in trouble and they have to come back and get him. And, but now he's like, you know, a 40-year-old man trying to be Peter Pan again. And it's kind of like, you know, you gotta, don't sell yourself out. And I felt like that was kind of a good life message to learn when I was like, I don't know, 12 years old. Like, don't sell yourself out. You shouldn't give up your dreams just to be an adult and blah, blah, blah. But also that freaking French horn. Like, but yeah, the Jurassic Park song, I think the French horn's even bigger. But then my daughter, we were going through the John Williams Essentials playlist and she heard a song and she's like, oh my gosh, this is the theme of Harry Potter. I'm like, yes, because in 2001, he got to continue his reign of excellency and he wrote all the scores for Harry Potter as well. So yeah, definitely one of the best score writers of any time, but definitely of our time.
Yeah, I agree. Great
So
picks.
So
I'm all nostalgic now. Now I have to watch all the movies with John Williams scores in them.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be busy for like, you know, 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite, like, you know, Return of the Jedi, like the what's his name, Skywalker theme, or any of those Darth Vader's theme?
You know, honestly, no. But the things that just come to top of mind of what I love, it's the Raiders of the Lost Ark theme, the Temple of Doom, a lot of like the Indiana Jones series was very big for me, and then Home Alone, of course. But most of my band, of course, everybody did like Superman and in the early band times because it was still the Christopher Reeves dying like era, and so Superman themes were still pretty big. So we did the John Williams medley, and but most of the bands I was in were playing Jurassic Park pretty hardcore. Like I was playing a lot of Jurassic Park, so that one kind of stuck.
Yeah. Well, plus you're in the horn section, so freaking horn players are all about it. They get their moment in the sun there.
yeah, and I was a trumpet player, but then it was always fun to play French horn in the band when there were too many trumpets. And so anytime John Williams was about and you got to play French horn, you were featured quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it was always good. Oh, can I just say, I cannot help every time I talk about playing the French horn or talk about the French horn, that I always have this joke in my head about French horns. And it's,
Okay.
how do you know that you're kissing a French horn player?
How?
Because they have their hand up your butt. So awful. But that's just, I'm
Oh,
sorry all the French horn players out there that may be listening, but
I'm sure they're telling that joke as well, because that is if they were in band in the 90s, that is the type of joke that we were all telling.
then everybody was telling exactly.
That's how it was back in the 90s. Yeah, I like being able to recognize like an artist even when you're not familiar with their music. Like I feel like that with the Red Hot Chili Peppers or like with Green Day, where you're just like you hear a song, or Pink, or like Kelly Clarkson, like you just start hearing a song in the background and you're like, I'm feeling the aura of
Yeah.
John Williams right now. Like whenever I feel like that building timpani, like I'm like, is John Williams about to like unleash on my brain right here? And then as soon as those French horns kick in, I'm like, oh, I'm about to strap in for a John Williams festival here. And it's going to be so good. But I was actually watching the latest Jurassic Park, which I fell asleep in. And I was like thinking, I wonder if this score actually saved the first movie. Because I'm like, was the first movie actually good? Or was it scored so well that you couldn't fall asleep?
It was good for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Not just the score.
But this last movie, I did not find it compelling, the last one. But
No, I'm
no.
with you. Yeah. I have kept coming back to the franchise just because of the affinity for Jurassic Park. It's just, but I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that too. And movie scores come to mind. Of course, Danny Elfman comes to mind. He's another big one. But also the same vein, I love that we were just talking about artists that like steal other artists' music and riffs and things, and everybody builds their music from the same building blocks. And it always amazes me how, as an artist, that talent to be able to build your own sound from the same notes everybody else is playing, right? But you still, some artists, painters, anything, like everyone's using and pulling from the same set of tools, yet you come up with this thing that then can be identified as your sound. That is absolutely so awe-inspiring for me and gives me such an appreciation for artists. But I feel that way about some video game composers too, because that is just such a medium in our lives. And Koji Kondo is one in particular who does Mario and Legend of Zelda, and he has his own sound. And Brian Tyler is a really big composer right now, did a lot of video games and movies as well. Assassin's Creed, he did some scores there. There are other much more famous ones, but I just wanted to mention some video game composers as well, because it's the same thing. They're movies were our big thing because video games weren't quite like they are today.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
really like. But before we go, I actually do have records to share today.
Okay.
Only because my husband went thrifting and hit the mother load with some like old classic singles. So I just need to like show them to you. These are
Okay.
12-inch singles. So Fight the Power from Do the Right Thing. Oh my gosh. Then we've got a house party song today. And also because there's a new house party that just came out on HBO Max. I haven't seen it. I'm a little nervous because this was so like our era. And then this is just self-destruction. It's a lot of like stop the violence. It's got some great rappers on there, MC Light. Anyway, so I don't want to take up a lot of time here. Ice Ice Baby, and then the side B is Play That Funky Music, White Boy. We got some Bobby Brown action. Let's see, is this one My Prerogative. My
This
Prerogative
is the
there.
mother lode. This is
Yeah,
quite the
this is
haul.
and then this is like a sample from Jive Records, but it just made me laugh because Samantha Fox is on there and we were just talking about her like a week or two ago.
Mhm.
And then in excess, New Sensation, Duran Duran. We got some Janet Jackson. All right. That's pretty much it. But I just had to share because they were like $1 a piece. And now they are singles, but that's the same as buying something off of like iTunes or
No.
whatever.
Yeah, that's quite the haul. Well,
Yeah.
in appreciation of that haul, then I do have a movie recommendation. It is on streaming. I don't know which one. It is a movie called You People, which is
Netflix.
Netflix. Okay, Jonah Hill and Kenya Barris. Kenya Barris is the creator of Blackish, and Jonah Hill obviously is Jonah Hill. It's very cringe, very cringe. It's both super enjoyable and very hard to watch. So if you can handle cringe humor, you would like it. But if you can't, then I would pass on it because it is so cringe. But it's about this young guy. Well, he's not young. He's 35 years old. Who just has like a really deep appreciation for Black American culture, and he has a podcast, and like there's hijinks, and he ends up with being engaged to this woman, and her dad is from Nation of Islam, and his parents are like not devoutly Jewish but pretty like still practicing actively Jewish. And there's like hijinks, and just really cute movie about just like, do you participate in the culture? Are you a tourist in the culture? What does it mean to like merge cultures? And Kenya Barris is just so funny. So I will recommend that, but you have to be ready to like just like the whole time.
That is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. All
Sweet.
right. Well, I gotta go because I got to go get my eyes looked at, and I will press stop on the recording now.
All right. We'll talk to you
All
next week.
right. Okay.